Are you in a nostalgic and reminiscing sort of mood? Me too. Get ready, because you are going to get to see some old footage I have of old buses. Except that, no, this footage really isn't that old. None of the footage you're going to see in this video is older than about 6 years. This was fairly recent in the grand scheme of things. So I said in some video from a couple years ago that I had some old footage tucked away in my hard drives and never made the effort to actually look for them until recently. And yeah, I have more than I thought. So I'm going to show those to you throughout the course of this video. Most of the buses you're going to see in this video are older than I am, which is a bit interesting. And I was a bit undecided of how to show these videos to you, whether or not to do oldest to newest or newest to oldest. But I've decided I'm going to show these to you oldest to newest, because the old footage is terrible, and just be prepared for that, but oldest to newest. So let's talk about something Trimet did for quite a few years, and hopefully will continue to do. During projects where shuttle buses would be needed, Trimet would bring out the oldest series of buses that they have and run them for one last go during that project, and then they'd be retired. So the buses would sort of be retired and placed in some sort of backup fleet for use of either training operators or just for extra service, which was rare, but most of the time they got used on shuttle. Just any sort of shuttle opportunities. And the most common of those were the max shuttles, because those typically last for about 2 weeks. They would run them for one last go during this max project, and then they'd auction them off shortly after. Trimet did this with, I believe, the 2000s all the way up to the 2700 series buses. 2000 series all the way to the 2700 series. The 2800s, the retirement was treated quite differently and quite a bit more aggressively, so I'm not sure if that practice is going to continue. I hope it does, but I have this strange feeling we're never going to get to set foot in a 2800 ever again. And it would be just my luck. I finally take a bigger interest in the bus and start to film this whole sort of thing, and then they change it up on me, and now I probably won't ever set foot on the 2800s ever again. But whatever, let's start talking about the old videos. Firstly, I want to mention my personal favorite of the classic Trimet buses. And maybe they weren't everyone's favorite, but I liked these. The Gillig Phantoms. The 2100 series buses were first introduced in 1997, but were not the first Gillig Phantoms in the fleet. That honor would go to the 1400 series buses, which were introduced in 1990. Unfortunately, I don't believe I have any videos of those, externally or internally. I don't believe I have any videos of the 1400s. But these buses, to my knowledge, lasted longer than any other bus in the Trimet fleet ever. For a whopping 24 years, these were still operational in 2014. That is crazy. The 2100s, though, I do have footage of. I have footage of the inside, riding the buses, which not as many people did. You can find plenty of pictures of what the outside of the buses look like. Just literally Google Trimet Gillig Phantom and you'll see pictures of them. But not many people, not as many got pictures or videos especially of the inside of the buses. Well, they took these buses out for one last spin in August 2016 for the Rose Quarter Max project. Take a look. Wait, this is going to be pretty full. We'll just get on that one. They have two shuttles right behind each other. That's cool. Oh, look at that. We can just get right on. Oh, whoa, look at these seats. Whoa. Oh, look at these seats.
Didn't we get on one kind of similar to that?
We
no,
did.
It looked like the one we were on at the airport. That's bigger than the airport.
It's just that there's no upstairs. Because we're already upstairs. Upstairs.
Maybe not.
Let's close the doors.
That shuttle bus just left, and now we're leaving. Like 15 seconds later.
Oh, no, it's just moving up.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. We didn't go very far. Never mind. You can probably delete this if you wanted. Going anywhere? This is the most awkward window situation because you can't put your arm on these. So I'm just gonna have to record it all weird. There's 7. Really doesn't look like they're doing that much. There's another shuttle coming down 7th, just passing us. This is with the lens flush against the window. That's how much these things are vibrating.
I can't see it.
Be prepared to stop. Look at that. Gonna run over the cone. Now here's the Interstate Rose Quarter. We're gonna get out that door. We're gonna get out that door.
They probably much
Max Shuttle.
If she makes me, then I won't. Yeah, there's no service on it anyway. So these people are... Hey, hold on. I'll call you when I'm Oh, yeah, I know.
That barbecue keeps the shit out right there. See that?
And the next stop will be 2nd and Multnomah.
Barbecue when I got like it's like a kitchen, bro. I know, dude. Wow.
This is Rose Quarter.
Oh, okay, so
I don't know how we ended up on Multnomah Street.
That's what he said.
And 7th and Holiday.
I know, no.
good. Have a good day.
Requiere comprobante de pago y boleto validado para usar el banco.
Another shuttle. Now time for something Trimet had a lot of at one point, and these would be the New Flyer D40LF. Okay, were the Gillig Phantoms my favorite? Yeah, probably, but these are not far behind. I like these a lot too. In total, there were 6 different series of buses that were the D40LFs, plus one set of buses, the 2900s, that are the restyled version, which are still in service today, although only on weekdays. These buses also went through the transition in around 2002 when Trimet introduced the blue and yellow semicircle paint scheme. Most of the 2500s and older had the older paint scheme, but some of the 2500s as well as all of the 2600s onward had the blue and the yellow. I have quite a few videos of the 2200s, which entered service in 1998 to 99. Quite a few Max projects use these, and I'm going to show those to you. There technically were no 2300 series buses. Now, that might seem weird. Here's a picture. Yeah, that clearly looks like a 2300. No, it's not. It's a 2200. There were over 100 of these, so the number spilled over into the 2300s. Okay, but anyways, let's now show you some footage from the Morrison Yamhill Max project from May 2017. This is number 2241. The door. That was Salmon and 15th, in case you were curious. Ready?
Okay. Not? No.
Okay, now to catch that shuttle. We're at 5th and Taylor. It's a quicker ride this way.
It worked out anyways.
Weird in that. Another Max shuttle. It was on 6th. It's all rattly.
like, please don't leave. Oh, got another extreme close-up of my hand.
This next set of videos also contains the 2200s, but this time from the Providence Park Max project in May 2018. Take a look.
6 Max Shuttle and another Max Shuttle was coming in as we were walking here. So this is what we want. We're on 2288. It's like a brush. I've never been able to get videos that clear of it.
You can kind of pause it. Okay.
Yeah. And they're actively doing stuff on that back one. They were digging it.
So you get a good.
This is the Kings Hill one.
And then.
Look at the sea. Alright, that'll be it.
This last set of videos of the 2200s were right at the end of their life. This was the Hillsborough Max project, which took place in October 2018. These buses were 20 years old at the time of this footage. Take a look.
I've never seen Hatfield closed. That's weird. 2271, that's a bus. Going to take it down to the fair and then down to the zoo.
Now time for the last buses to wear the old paint scheme, the 2500s. Now if you're wondering why there's no 2400s, well, there were. They were the World Trends buses, but we don't talk about those. Anyways, the 2500 series buses were introduced in 2000. Now, the videos I have of these buses are far better than the videos of the previous buses. So, at least we saved the better footage for last. These buses were retired in 2019, meaning for a brief time, you could actually see buses with all three paint schemes, as that is also the year that Trimet introduced the current paint scheme. Side note, Trimet kind of went on a rampage retiring buses because the 2600s also retired that year. So, yeah, it all happened really fast. But anyways, here's footage from the Lloyd Max project, number 1, where the 2500 series buses were being used for the last time.
Is the number.
really didn't get much footage of these buses or why I didn't really film these better, I have a pretty simple answer for you. Before I get there, it might seem like it would have been a huge deal for me. I had a YouTube channel that I wasn't really posting to, but I had a YouTube channel. This would have been very valuable footage to get nice, good videos of these buses inside and out as they were being retired. Kind of something similar to what I did with the 2800s when those were retired earlier this year. I filmed a whole movie practically about it. Well, I really didn't get into buses all that much until 2021, which was far too late. I was 100% laser focused on Macs and missed all the excitement happening in the bus world. It's unfortunate, really. For the first 15 and a half years of my life, I lived in an apartment right off a TV highway. I saw the buses on TV highway a lot. I remember the flip dot signs on the buses, and I thought they were cool. But I don't remember riding them. My mom took the 57 bus every single morning to get to work for quite a while, and she says that she just doesn't really... that wasn't really all that memorable. She remembers it being very crowded and that the air conditioning, well, didn't exist on the older buses. Yeah, the 57 has always been crowded, but it just really wasn't all that interesting. So she, of course, gets her license to avoid that craziness and drove everywhere by car. And then after I was born, I was driven everywhere by car. I didn't really get to experience transit all that much. Occasionally, and I mean occasionally, we would take the Max into Portland, which was always awesome. But that was it. We would take the Max into Portland. We would never take the bus. If a destination was only reachable by bus, she would drive. The first time I personally remember riding the Max was when we went to the Wiggles at the Moda Center, which used to be called the Rose Garden Arena, probably around 2004, 2005, that general era. I was really small. But I do know for sure we took the Max, and I'm pretty sure, thinking back on it, it was a Type 1, because I remember walking down the steps to get off the train and walking to the front door of the Moda Center. I do remember that. And that was probably the first time I was ever on the Max, or at least the oldest time I can remember. And we had gone on the Max after that. It just... not everything clicked until later. Then, in February 2014, it snowed. A lot. But, as a family, we had planned to go to the car show at the convention center, which happened to be right during this snowstorm. But we decided to go anyways, and we took the Max. There was snow everywhere, and we had to park at the Fair Complex Park and Ride, which was interesting. We were driving on TV highway at like 20 or 25 miles an hour, and it was really sketchy trying to get there. But we took the Max there with no issue, and in fact we made it back just in time, because later that night some freezing rain started to come down and it shut down the Max service for the rest of the night, and we missed it by literally, I think, under 2 hours. We missed that. But anyway, shortly after, I discovered the MaxFax website. RIP-ish to the MaxFax website, but I immediately got hooked on the amount of information that I got. And I've been hooked ever since then. In fact, I've even kept the Max ticket from February 2014 when we went to the car show. And I put on the back, Convention Center Auto Show. Now, I haven't just kept this ticket. I have kept each and every Max ticket I have ever purchased since then, including hop tickets. I went a bit psycho. I might make a video on what's on all these tickets later, but it took me until July 5th, 2014, before I took the Line 57 all the way to Forest Grove for the first time. I took the whole Line 57 for the first time. It took until July 2014, but you might notice I didn't get into buses in July 2014. I got into them last year. And it didn't just happen overnight for no reason. Okay, it did kind of happen overnight, but it was shortly after I met Gabe Pearson. He knows probably too much about buses, and we got to talking for a while on multiple discussions, and we hung out a few times, and he kind of got me hooked on buses. They're a lot more interesting than I thought they would have been, and it makes me regret that I didn't film them more, but the reality is I didn't film them more, and so I'm trying to make up for that by just simply filming them. I know the footage of the 2800s will be very, very valuable one day, because already half of them are gone. So it's that sort of thing. I want to have that sort of footage that might be displayed at a museum in 200 years. Something sparked big time last year, and now my interest in the bus and the Max are pretty much one and the same. And you guys got to see that transition happen in real time, which is very interesting. So that's more or less why I don't have a whole lot of footage from a few years ago when buses were being retired. Had I gotten to buses first or something, and then the Max, I probably would have tried to, and discovered the Rose City Transit website where you can actually track those buses. Had I discovered all of that way in the beginning in 2014, I would have definitely tracked down one of the 1400s to try and film it before they're all gone. But as it stands, I didn't know how valuable that footage would have been. Same deal with the 1600s, 1700s, any of those old buses. But somebody did realize how valuable that footage would have been, and that person is PDX Productions. Give that channel a visit if you want to watch old Trimet buses. There's a lot of time-lapse footage and a lot of just generally old buses. He has videos dating back to the 1600s, possibly earlier, but I think the 1600s are as far back as I've been able to find on that channel. However, now that I know that, now that I know how valuable that footage can be, I'm definitely going to continue to do that with the future bus retirements. Except for maybe the 3000s, those are my least favorite buses. I don't like those buses. I'm kidding, I will still do a retirement video on those. But there's an even larger, much larger part of people's childhoods that are nostalgic for people for decades. And that is the Max Type 1s. The Type 1s have been serving the Portland area since the 80s, and they're still in service. And that footage, well, it seems like they're going to just keep going and going, but they're not. When we get the Type 6s, if we ever do, they are going to replace the Type 1s with the Type 6s. So it's very, very, very important to get the footage, all the footage that you can, and you can expect a very similar movie to my 2800s when the 2800s were being retired. The Type 1 Max train cars, I will do a very, very, very similar thing. It's going to be a big deal. That's a huge part of my childhood. It's a large part of everybody who's lived in the Portland area for the last few decades. That's going to be a big one. But until that happens, I thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next video.